Since I was 14 years old, since I started training, that was my goal. I believe that even now, I am the GOAT.
Welcome to the Pin Down, the Sports Illustrated pro wrestling show. This is our opening show. I'm Kent Brown along with Gene Chery, and here's a little bit about who we are. We're two diehard pro wrestling fans. We've been to events together. We were at WrestleMania in Vegas together, the Raw after WrestleMania, and we also are just diehard fans, but we understand the business, and we're going to come with that perspective week to week as we have fun watching wrestling. We're not going to be here to talk bad about the product left and right. However, when there's a reason to question something, we might do it. So, Gene, I got to bring you in right now. It's a pleasure having you here. You will be the co-host of this show. Talk a little bit about your love for wrestling, what got you into pro wrestling, and just kind of your week to week and how you go about watching it.
Man, I'm excited, man. Like you said, we are fans of pro wrestling, and you don't need to be an expert to talk about this, right? Like, that's probably the most beautiful thing about being a wrestling fan. And Kent, you know this better than anybody, man. If you know pro wrestling, you really get it. Yes, it's a niche audience, but I would say, as a basketball fan, as an NFL fan, nothing beats the passion that comes with being a wrestling fan, man. And there's no off season. So that's probably the best part about this whole thing, man. There is no downtime. There's always something to talk about, whether it's in the ring, outside the ring. I've been watching the product for over 30 years, and I'm super excited just to share our thoughts with the universe.
Yeah, and as you said, that's one of the pitches to our bosses that they like. There's no offseason. It's 52 weeks. There's PLEs left and right. There's 7+ hours of TV weekly. If you really want to deep dive, there's probably closer to 15 or 20 hours of TV. And you said 30 years. You know, I have my Hey Yo, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon shirt. I know you're going to be wearing some wrestling shirts as we go along. And of course, as we said, if you know, you know. Like, if you're a wrestling fan, you know why it's great. The storylines, the compelling stuff in the ring, the fact that there's not a second take. Everything's live in ring. And sometimes that means there's injuries. Sometimes that means you see, you know, the holy bleep moments. We want more, you know, this is awesome. All of that stuff lines up with us being fans. But let's just jump right into it now, because we have a premium live event on Saturday in Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, and it's Money in the Bank. It's one of the big events. It's not quite WrestleMania or SummerSlam, but right now it's probably that third biggest event and Royal Rumble. So it's probably the fourth biggest event at this point. And this men's Money in the Bank match is pretty loaded. You have Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, Seth Rollins, and then on Monday night, CM Punk didn't get in. El Grande Americano got in with that headbutt to knock out his victims. And I think the biggest storyline of this is not only who's in it, but who's not in it.
Yeah.
The fact that CM Punk's not in it. You have the vision with Seth Rollins and Braun and Bronson. Seth Rollins clearly the favorite, but because CM Punk's lurking, how do you go about this? Who do you actually predict to win? And will we see CM Punk ruin it for Rollins?
Oh, I think it's a given. I think it's a automatic fact that Rollins, there's no way. I don't see Rollins walking away with that briefcase. No way. Not with CM Punk alive and well. There's no way that's going to happen. I'll give you my prediction of this match, and I think this would just turn heads if this were to happen. I got my money on El Grande Americano walking away with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Chad Gable, El Grande Americano, has been one of the most interesting characters in WWE so far. And to me, him with the briefcase just opens up so many possibilities. Does Chad Gable finally admit that he's El Grande Americano as he cashes it in? Or does he stay with this gimmick? To me, El Grande Americano, Chad Gable's been long overdue for a moment. And I think him with that briefcase, not knowing when he's going to cash it in, maybe he cashes it in on the Intercontinental Championship. We have no idea. But to me, this would be a perfect arc for Chad Gable. So I am hoping El Grande Americano walks away with that briefcase on Saturday.
And you brought up a good point. Gable could cash in, or El Grande Americana. You kind of have, you know, two different personalities, two different wrestlers. I like the Gable's even wearing the Chad Gable boots now as he's El Grande, not even trying to pretty much hide who he is. Michael Cole, of course, announcing it as Chad Gable. There's a lot of fun, but let's just sort of break down this match too. If somehow Rollins does win it, how does that catapult him? Because right now, the vision, Seth Rollins, he's probably the biggest week-to-week star along with CM Punk and Cody that we have that's there every week. If he does win it, all of a sudden now, Jey Uso, you better be worried because I got to think Seth Rollins would be the guy taking your title belt. But on the other hand, as we said, if he doesn't win it, it's almost a definite we're going to have, and we've discussed this off the air leading in, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins have still not had that signature one-on-one big pay-per-view match. And I kind of think that's what's going to happen as we head towards SummerSlam season. But if Seth Rollins wins it, I would love it because I'm always down for a heel chasing the title and a heel being as good as Seth Rollins. I would have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, me neither. It's just when it comes to Seth Rollins, and we can talk about this when we later talk about the women's Money in the Bank match. He doesn't necessarily need that Money in the Bank briefcase. I remember when Money in the Bank first came out, guys like Edge, he didn't really get his moment until he won the Money in the Bank preview. I would love them to get back to that. Give this briefcase to someone that you can catapult into the main event picture. Seth Rollins is already a made man. They're calling him this generation Shawn Michaels. Yes, him with the briefcase does bring another allure to that briefcase, but at the same time, I would love to see a guy like anybody else, honestly, other than Seth Rollins with that briefcase, just to catapult, because him and CM Punk, you don't need any stipulation to that. These guys are going to break the house down whenever they get in the ring together. So I agree. I would not have a problem with it, but I do think that briefcase would be better used somewhere else.
Who would shock you the most? Because I think you looked at last year, Solo Sikoa ended up main eventing a SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes. Of course, that all set up the Roman Reigns coming back. But let's say Solo wins it. Now you have the bloodline, this new bloodline kind of refurbished. You still have the Jacob Fatu. You have JC Mateo, the new blood into that bloodline. Clearly, if he wins, that elevates that new bloodline a lot more, and it would put Solo Sikoa with his biggest win to date. I think it's possible they can go that route because Penta, I think, has now had a few shots and hasn't quite pulled it off. I feel like Andrade, great worker. He's probably going to steal the show in terms of some of the crazy bumps, but I'm just not sure they give him the Money in the Bank. And then LA Knight has already had his signature moments, but maybe they're willing to go back to LA Knight and have him be the guy. But because Jay's your world champ, and then you look at the other one, it's like, I don't know if LA Knight kind of fits the mold right now, but what if Solo leaves with the Money in the Bank? Would that be something that would intrigue you, or do you think it would just be he has it until he loses that match?
And I think Solo is underrated. I think him with that briefcase, you kind of, ever since Jacob Fatu got into the picture, he's kind of been put on the sideline. You put that briefcase next to him, now you got Jacob with the U.S. Championship. You've got Solo with the briefcase. You kind of bring legitimacy back to the bloodline or the new bloodline that we haven't seen. It'd be super interesting to see. And how dope would it be to see Solo be the one to take that title from his big brother, Jay? That would be a moment to happen. Because right now I'm seeing whoever's winning this Money in the Bank briefcase, they're going after Jay, the world championship. I don't think anyone's touching Cena at this point. I think Cena's going to have his run with that championship. It's going to be him and Cody from now until the end of the year. So you got to look at it as whoever wins this briefcase is going to go after Jay/Gunther. And I think Solo, it's a natural storyline at that point. So, and yeah, man, I would love to see it.
Yeah, as much as we've talked about Jimmy and Jay and they had their WrestleMania 40 moment one-on-one, Solo's the younger brother. So he's right there too. It's brother against brother. And I just think right now is not LA Knight's time. Penta would be cool, but I'm just not sure it kind of makes the most sense. It's going to be a great match. It definitely will be one of the headliners. But speaking of headliners, we're now going to transition to our interview we got with Roxanne Perez. She's new to the WWE main roster. She's in the Women's Money in the Bank this Saturday night. Take a listen to our preview of Roxanne Perez, and then the rest of our interview is up on YouTube. You can watch it. She was a great guest, and when we come back, we're going to discuss that Women's Money in the Bank match. You are now officially on the Raw brand. You were in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. You defeated Becky Lynch and Natalya. Talk about that moment. You're on Raw. You get that signature win and punch your ticket and qualify for Money in the Bank. What did it mean to you? Was that your official I made it moment?
I feel like I've had so many, and I feel like it never stops happening, especially, me growing up, always wanting to be a part of the WWE since I was 8, 9 years old. That's the only thing I ever wanted to do. So being able to, win the NXT Women's Championship, being in the Royal Rumble, now being in the ring with Natalia and Becky Lynch and being able to punch my ticket against those two, people that have paved the way for me and get into Money in the Bank, one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time since I was a kid. It's a really, really cool feeling, and I can't wait to climb up that ladder and grab that briefcase.
And there it is, Roxanne Perez. You can catch the full interview. It's up on YouTube. She was a great guest. She is brand new to the roster, but certainly not somebody that is afraid of what's forward in her career. And let's just break down this women's Money in the Bank ladder match. It's loaded with star power. A bunch of new, younger people. Stephanie Vaquer, La Primera. You throw in the fact that Julia is brand new. Roxanne Perez. Alexa Bliss hasn't been around lately. She's returned. And then you have a couple veterans. Naomi has done just about everything you can do on the WWE roster. And then Rhea Ripley would definitely be the favorite in this match. But on the other hand, there's a lot of women in this match that are ready to take that Money in the Bank and briefcase and make it their own going forward. So let's throw Roxanne into the mix. Clearly, we're biased. We just interviewed her. She was great. Do you see her leaving Saturday night in Inglewood as the briefcase holder going forward?
I don't know if I see it, but that's exactly what I want to see. I would love to see Roxanne take that briefcase and just, to me, you don't bring her onto the Raw roster without giving her something, right? Like right now, she's kind of been looked at as just an annoyance to the Judgment Day. Everything she does, Liv, Raquel Rodriguez, they want nothing to do with her. But if she gets that briefcase, and that now she has a little bit of something to bring to the table as far as that goes. We saw her help out Finn. We saw JD McDonough in the match. She is clearly an asset. You give her that briefcase, you're looking at probably the new top dog as far as the women go into that Judgment Day. So I would love to see Roxanne do it. That interview was incredible. I can't wait for everyone to see the rest of it. At the same time, she just showed time and time again that she is ready for this moment. She is fearless, and she is the future. Only 23 years old, man. She has a bright future ahead of her, and I think this Saturday is going to be her coming out party.
Well, let's go to another person with a bright future. We saw her the night after WrestleMania on that Raw in Vegas, Stephanie Vaquer. She went kind of in backstage the other day, face to face with Rhea Ripley, and didn't look not the part. You looked at her and you went, okay, that's a feud I think we can see going forward and see, two superstars that are ready to kind of battle. So what about La Primera, Stephanie Vaquer? She's similar to Roxanne, where she's new to this game on the main roster. But to me, it wouldn't shock me at all if she leaves with the Money in the Bank briefcase. I kind of think in a way that wouldn't be a bad way of building her up quickly, but also letting people know she's right there at the top in addition to everyone else on this women's roster. I like what we're seeing from her, and I think her future is just as bright as Roxanne, in my opinion. I think one of those two, in my opinion, is going to leave with that briefcase. But what about Vaquer if you just had to kind of handicap her chances? And then the fact that Rhea had that stare down with her backstage, I thought that was great.
I thought that was kind of a teaser. I think they put those two in the same frame just to see how the audience would react. And that reaction was excellent. If I'm looking back at it, like, does she really need that briefcase? She's already over. She has one of the most interesting moves in WWE right now. See how the crowd goes. Stephanie Vaquer, to me, she has a star power. Yeah, and you give her that briefcase, you're just going to shoot her straight to the moon. So it just depends. If you're WWE, do you want to put that battery in her back and shoot her straight to the main event scene, or do you kind of let her build without the briefcase? I think that's a great problem to have. At the same, how I would book it, I would give it to a Roxanne since she's already in a storyline, and then you would just let Stephanie Vaquer find her way to that championship on her own path. And to me, that these two young ladies, they're going to bring money to the table for sure.
Yeah, and if you look at Roxanne, there's already that built-in storyline of the Judgment Day and everything else that makes so much sense. And being a heel, that's always better. In general, I feel like the briefcase is better on a heel than a baby face. What about Alexa Bliss? Because Alexa Bliss she kind of feels like this is a complete fresh start for her. And she has been somebody who has been one of the biggest women in all of the roster for a long time. I don't know if it quite worked with the Wyatt Six. We'll have to kind of see going forward, all of that. But at the same point, she's somebody who they put it on her. She's not afraid of the spotlight either. And I feel like Alexa Bliss is somebody who you can roll with and make her instantly more credible with the win. And then let's throw in Julia as well, brand new to the game as well, one of the up-and-comers. How do you sort of handicap those two? Clearly behind Roxanne and Stephanie Vaquer, in my opinion, right now, but that doesn't mean one of them can't leave with the briefcase.
Yeah, it's Money in the Bank. Anything can happen, right? But I just don't see it. I don't see Alexa Bliss walking away with that briefcase. I know she had a little program with Tiffany Stratton a couple weeks ago, but to me, Alexa Bliss, even though it feels like a fresh start, until they actually, I got to see it to believe it, because to me, she's been underrated. She's been underutilized. And until they show WWE books her in a position where she can be one of the top dogs in the women's division, I got reservations on that front. As far as Julia, newcomer, clearly talented. It would be nice to see. I'm sure she's gonna have some moments. I view her kind of in the same way as Andrade in the men's match. She's probably gonna have one of the biggest spots in the matchup, which will be nice to see. But yeah, I don't see either of them walking away with the briefcase.
Let's go to the women's IC match. This is now the third time they've gone face to face. Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, a last chance match. If Becky loses it, she can no longer challenge for that Intercontinental Women's Championship. She's been all about the rage, turning heel. I'm going to be the best again. I don't care who's in my way. But every time, Lyra Valkyria has gotten the best of her. And now we see it on a bigger stage again, another PLE stage, and Lyra Valkyria against Becky Lynch. We thought last time Becky was taking that strap, and it made a lot of sense for her to win it. Is it just basically a month later, and now she's going to get that IC title? Or does her reign of terror and misery continue with her losing this and almost playing that role of I'm the bitter heel, and I'll keep that going forward as opposed to I have some gold around my waist?
Yeah, this is a very interesting feud. I would have put the strap on Becky in the last matchup, honestly, and have this kind of be the rubber match, but that's clearly not what they're doing. So one or two things are going to happen. Either Lyra beats her for a third time, and Becky, goes and figures something else out. But I got my money on Becky winning. Third time's a charm, man. I got her walking away with the strap this time, man, because this feud clearly is something WWE's investing in. They have great chemistry in the ring, and I don't think Becky can keep talking smack with that microphone if she keeps taking L's. So I think this time she does whatever she can to walk away with that belt and bring some more prestige to that Women's IC Championship. I got Becky winning that title, talking her smack on Raw, and then eventually down the line, maybe at SummerSlam, get the final match. Maybe it's a 2 out of 3 Iron Women's match between her and Lyra, something of that nature. And they keep it pushing. But yeah, I got my money on Becky Lynch walking away, finally getting a dub over Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, I also feel like 2-night SummerSlam for the first time, you're probably going to want the promos and the posters of Becky Lynch with that title belt. I think it draws attention more. It makes the Women's IC Championship more significant on that card. Not that Lyra's not been great as that role, but Becky Lynch is one of the biggest stars. I mean, she's main evented a Mania and left as champion. That's one of those things where not many people have done that. So I feel like Lyra Valkyria right now, as good as she's been, she'll probably get one more shot after, but I like Becky Lynch to do what we thought she would do last month and win that Women's IC match. Let's now go to the main event. Tag team match. It was formulated at Saturday night's main event when there were interruptions left and right. You had John Cena come out. He's trying to ruin wrestling. So his whole thing was, let's give this YouTuber the other title, and he's earned it. Jey Uso, he called a fraud. Cody, he called a fraud. He was basically saying they're wannabes. They're John Cena wannabes. Meanwhile, Logan Paul, he's the real superstar. He's the real hard worker. Everything that the fans have kind of went against, John Cena's just going all in on. I thought the last week or so has been some of the best promos he's cut. I love that back and forth on SmackDown with him and Cody and Jay and Logan Paul. It's setting up to be a fun tag team match. You have both champions in the match. Obviously, no championship up for grabs, but it's the first time since Mania we'll see Cody Rhodes back in a ring and he's back in a ring with John Cena. And that's what we've been talking about as friends and fans of the product is what's Cody going to do when he gets back? Is he going to instantly challenge for the title? Is Cena going to tell him, get to the back of the line? I don't want to hear it. I'm only here till December. I don't have to fight you again. I already beat you. This is a good way of putting him back in that mix, but not having it be a title match yet. And Logan Paul, loving or hate him, he's a main eventer type of talent, and we know that. Jey Uso, clearly, this is another big step for him. We still have this whole Gunther angle where Gunther keeps telling him, you're not the future guy. You're lucky. You've been able to beat me. You've been able to win, but you're not going to remain champ. Maybe he comes out and does something on Saturday night in Inglewood. But how do you see this match shaping up? Because to me, it's four of their biggest stars, great tag team match, both champions, and obviously Cody Rhodes finally returning after losing at Mania.
It's going to be fun, man. Like you said, it's going to be fun. You got a lot of heavy hitters in this matchup. As far as how it's going to play out, I think Jey takes the pin. I think Logan Paul gets a dub over Jey Uso. That's if I'm booking this matchup, Logan Paul is someone WWE clearly invested in. He's the youngest guy in this matchup. Cena has clearly given him his blessing, even though he's doing it as a heel. I think there's a lot of investment into a guy like Logan Paul, and this is going to be another example of him having to prove himself if he could hang with the big dogs in the ring with Cody, in the ring with Jey, as a tag team partner with one of the GOATs. This is a big moment for Logan Paul. So I'll be paying attention to see how he embraces this moment, because I don't think anyone could have predicted 5 years ago that we would be seeing Cena on his retirement tour with Logan Paul as a tag team partner. Like, this is going to be headlines. And I think the only way you capitalize on this is you have a guy like Logan Paul stand up, be one of the last guys standing in that ring. To me, Cody, it's going to be great to see Cody Rhodes, first time since Mania. At the same time, I think it would be too soon for him to catch the upper hand on Cena at this time. It's going to happen, but I think this weekend is all about Logan Paul and WWE showing, you know what, this guy is the future, and we believe in him.
Do we see Gunther help along the way and make it that Jey Uso ends up getting either tossed in the ring or Gunther ends up doing something to kind of cause him and Cody the loss? Because I feel like Gunther's lurking, and that's not going away.
Absolutely.
So for Logan to get the pin, I feel like it's probably going to be some sort of shenanigans along the way that lets Logan get that cheap pin that the fans aren't happy about, but he'll gladly celebrate.
Yeah, I don't see a universe that Gunther doesn't get involved in this matchup. With him getting involved and costing Jey the match, you solve a lot of problems, right? You got Gunther looking like the strong heel. You tie up and preview his heavyweight championship title shot on Monday. Jey still looks strong despite eating the pin, and Logan Paul comes out on top, and he has bragging rights for the future. So, yeah, that would be the perfect booking, in my opinion.
And then also it keeps the reign of John Cena winning by cheating. You know, the one thing with him as a heel, he's not been afraid of, taking that nut shot, using a title belt. The reason Cody didn't win at Mania was he had pride and he was too proud to use that title belt. John Cena, on the other hand, whatever's been necessary, that's what he's done. And if it ends with Gunther helping them out, I don't think John Cena is going to be anything but smiles as he celebrates with Logan Paul in the middle of that ring, as they both can look at the wannabes. Logan Paul can be quote unquote humble, and they know we're the victors. And you know what? I don't care if we cheated to do it. That's our role. So I'm definitely looking forward to that main event on Saturday night. It should be a lot of fun in Los Angeles. And now let's go to our last topic, because this is one of the biggest stories this week, and it's one that caught us off guard and caught the whole wrestling community off guard. Is R-Truth was just in a signature match a week ago at Saturday night's main event against John Cena. R-Truth has been one of the all-time legends. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. He said his contract will not be renewed. And same with Carlito to a lesser extent. Not as big news as R-Truth, but also in the same mindset. Contract not renewed. So when you saw this, I think you texted me it, and I was about to say, you know what? I just saw that too. It caught the wrestling world off guard. It's one of those guys that everyone loves. Any storyline R-Truth is in, we love him, and yet it doesn't look like WWE sees him in their future. What do you think about this and the fact that R-Truth is soon enough going to be a free agent and not part of the WWE, it appears?
It's sad news, man. I think WWE stands for, World Wrestling Entertainment. And who's been more entertaining than R-Truth in the last 5 years on the roster on a consistent basis at that?
Yeah,
This is
including a
someone,
week ago. A week ago,
man. And from what I'm seeing, like his Ron Cena shirts were actually doing pretty well. So to me,
sold out.
this is shocking news, in my opinion. Got a chance to meet R-Truth back in January at the Netflix premiere in LA. And when I tell you, this guy was so dope. Even after the red carpet event was done and we're packing up all our stuff, he took time to talk to all the workers, all the camera, and take pictures. He was just a gentleman, man, heart of gold, man. So when I saw this news, it was like, wow, that's nuts. And I get it. He's coming, like, he's up there in age and he's not in too many programs, but he is always that guy that you can go to entertain the fans. And he just did it. He had a sense of pride in doing it. And there's not a lot of guys or gals who are that entertaining on a consistent basis. Because right now I'm looking at the roster. Aside from like a Chelsea Green, who's really out there putting smiles on people's faces on a consistent basis?
Yeah,
There's a lot.
Gable right now. Gable kind of pulls it off. The Miz, when he's done correctly, has had it. And clearly
Yeah,
the Miz seemingly wasn't too happy about this as a guy that's, tag teamed with him many times over the years. But that becomes the bigger issue, as we said, is
yeah,
you start to look at a few years ago, and this is, look, we're not going to be critical of TKO, so to speak,
no,
altogether. But in
not
this
at all.
regard, it's a different business than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where a guy like R-Truth was on 200 house shows, 250 house shows. So even if he wasn't doing the TV rounds every week, there was a reason to have a guy like him out there. He can cut a live promo at any house show, first match, last match, whatever it may be. The fans will love it. He'll be perfect in that situation. They're not doing that anymore. It's
No.
television, and that's about it. Now, there's a lot of TV, but on the other hand, they also have a developmental program with great results. They're calling up those developmental people in the women's and the men's division quite frequently. And when you start to look at bottom line, and when you're TKO, it's more bottom line than maybe under Vince, where he was all encompassing of 250 house shows that
Yeah.
he was always going to have a role for R-Truth with. Now you're looking at it and you're saying we have cheaper talent who's probably better long term. And on the other hand, if this guy's not on TV every week, why are we paying him this amount
Yeah.
based on the fact that we can call somebody up, pay them a lot less, have them on TV more? It's understandable, the business decision. I mean, Carlito also not very young either. He's been around and he's been there for a long time too, off and on. But that's the decision they clearly made. I don't think it's a slight, like, meaning I don't think there's any ill will towards R-Truth or Carlito. Odds are R-Truth's probably in the Hall of Fame within the next couple years. And I think he'll get a very warm ovation there when he comes back. But in the meantime, it is a different business. And if you're not doing house shows and it's all about TV, it's a little harder to justify having the bloated roster if you're not on TV all the time. And knowing the fact there's 10, 20 people in NXT that are chomping at the bit that Shawn Michaels can call up anytime that Triple H approves of.
Yeah, it's a tough position because if you're a guy like The Miz, for example, are you kind of looking over your shoulder like, hey, my time might be done here? Because, like you said, it's all about TV, it's all about these PLEs. And like you said, even though there are a lot of hours, it's not a lot of space with such a impactful roster. We get it. We work in corporate. We understand like tough decisions got to be made. But as a fan, you're not trying to hear all that. As a fan, you're not trying to hear, oh, yeah, we have to cut this guy. All you care about is the fact that, man, this was someone who put a smile on my face every week, and now he's no longer there. And that doesn't make sense to us. Especially coming off a main event match with John Cena. One of the top matches with John Cena. The timing is crazy. But at the end of the day, like you said, it comes down to the bottom line. We're not here to criticize business decisions. We're fans, but at the same time, we understand the fan perspective as well, which is what makes the show, which is what's going to make this show really, really pop for sure.
And this also comes a week after the announcement of them pulling WrestleMania from New Orleans. So that's another thing too, is it's not like, if you look at the last few weeks, R-Truth had his biggest match in a long time. Then there was the announcement that his contract's not renewed. And then there also, in that same 7 to 10 days, you had the announcement of New Orleans no longer gets Mania out of nowhere. So all of that, those are not necessarily the storylines that TKO and WWE wanted lined up together. So that's where, if it was just one of those, I think it'd be easier. But when it's like your corporate decision followed by another corporate decision, now it's like the domino effect of the fans being like, well, hold up a second. What's going to be the story next week? And you hope that's not the case, but you understand that's where the internet wrestling community is going to go. And look, R-Truth has given us great moments over the years. He's an all-timer. He's somebody who, as we said, a definite future Hall of Famer. And John Cena gave him that moment. If anything, he's going to go out as somebody who we remember, as you said, Ron Cena selling merch, getting it sold out on Saturday night's main event. But that's going to do it here for our initial show. We're wrestling fans. If you're in this community, you know why we love it. If you know, you know. This has been The Pin Down, the Sports Illustrated Pro Wrestling Show.